What is experiential learning? Experiential learning is learning by doing. It's the process of experiencing learning with all of our senses. This is especially true and essential for learners and educators. The information that is taught and caught will be best caught or retained when learners are encouraged to use all of their senses and therefore touch all of the different learning personalities. Think of the VARP learning theory, visual, audio, read and write, kinesthetic, and let's compare that to our five senses. So we want to look and say our visual is like our sight. Our audio would be our hearing. Reading and writing is visual and touch, right? Our tactile. And it's going to also integrate smelling and any of these other senses as we are going to touch a physical book. It also look at kinesthetic, which also touches. As a quick side note, have you ever really seen an avid reader looking at books? And if not, take a moment to go to a physical bookstore and simply watch the patrons. An avid book reader is going to pick up a book from the shelf. They will run their hands over the quarters and the covers, and then they're going to read the experts. They're going to look at all of the reviews. They're going to read the summary on the back. Some are then going to open the book and rub their hands over the pages or flip through the pages to smell the fresh ink. I once heard an avid reader put a book back on the shelf. Although they were interested in the book, they were not interested in the feel and the smell of the book. Now, they still read that same book, they just chose a different edition of that book. Of course, experiential learning is a bit different than hands-on. Hands-on is simply learning. It's going to be doing something while you learn. But experiential is going to pull in some means of reflective practice. Experiential learning not only allows a learner to participate in a hands-on event and reflect on the learning experience, but encourages a learner to test out new ideas. Learners are going to be more engaged in their materials, and they're going to participate in problem solving through some trial and error. This process is developed even more effectively through reflection when the learner takes the time to ponder why something did or did not work and possibly make small tweaks in the next trial run. Experiential learning is also going to promote learners to take the time to critically look at their experiences. They will gather information in the format of both objective and subjective views. Feelings are going to be investigated. The contributions and interactions with others are also going to be looked at. So Gibbs' reflective cycle demonstrates that experiential learning and the use of reflective practice is a cycle. It's a circular event. Often, learners are going to need to repeat all of the steps in the reflective practice for effective learning, or sometimes they may jump around and need to repeat and look at just one aspect or another. Experiential learning tends to be a learner-centered approach to learning rather than a teacher-centered approach to learning. A learner is going to need some independence to investigate and reflect on their own with little interference from a teacher or educator. It is important to remember that experiential learning is a guided practice. It's not a hope that the learner is going to happen upon something, and in this aspect, it's very different from a discovery method of learning. It is essential to note that experiential learning must matter to the learner. It must be important to them, and they need to be open to the learning experience and willing to sacrifice and critically evaluate for that learning. The process of reflection and the topic of learning are both essential.